Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Friday. Sheets is not going to be able to make it today, so I'm going to go through my plays as quickly as I can. Feel free to drop in questions. Drop in questions when you have any thoughts, anything that comes up. Sorry, I'm getting other messages that I needed to address. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what we've got going today. Let me share my screen here. Give me just 1 second. All right, 1 second. Let's see. All right. So taking a quick look at the SaberSim stuff. What's up, Scott? Good to see you. And I'm just going to go through what I like. So I understand the Keita thing. Let's make sure he's starting before we do anything. I would really like to see what they plan to do at center there, and I wouldn't be surprised with how deep they are as a team if they didn't go that route. However, they probably will go the Keita starting route. But if he's not starting, you have some serious risk that you're going to embrace if they did something weird and like play Tatum at the 5, which is totally possible, by the way, in this matchup. I don't think that you need to match up with Batatse. I think that you're at home, you can make them match up with you. So just taking a quick look at that. I'm going to have Keita, though. I have 2 big lineups on DraftKings. My plan is to have him in 1. Same thing with Nick Richards, who I actually think is a really strong play with PJ Washington and Mark Williams out. Williams being out made a difference. The big thing is the Washington sort of solidifies Richards as being a great play here. So those are the two value plays. They're both at center. That's the problem. And you look at the center position, which is just pretty loaded. Miles Turner, I think, is a really good play. I like Podol quite a bit. Wembanyama, you can use it forward. Siakam, you can use it forward, but I like those guys too. I still really like the Toronto guys, and I still really like the some stuff in the early games, but I really want to wait for this Bane news, because if Bane is out, I'm going to load up on Memphis again. And I know it's a tough matchup, but they're playing at home against Houston. Houston's not as good on the road. We saw this matchup the other night, and we saw what Memphis can do. So I'm going to actually be probably waiting in a lot of spots. I do, however, I do like Zion in the early part of the slate. I like, excuse me, let me get over to this. I like Terry Rozier, and I like Brandon Miller as my 3 favorites here. The one who I think is interesting that's not getting any love is Trey Murphy. I wish this game was a little later and we had the Bane news, because Derrick Rose, for me, if Derrick Rose, and I'm going to play Jaren Jackson Jr. too, if Bane is out. Jaren Jackson Jr. put up 68 the other night, I believe, and 59 the game before that. Without Bane, I'm gonna make that a priority to get most of the Memphis, which is what I'm planning on right now. So going back to it really quick, on the New Orleans side, the one piece that I really am playing a lot of, I don't mind the Brandon Ingram, but I am going with Zion. That's just what I'm doing today. And then, as I mentioned, Richards, Miller, Rozier. This is a tournament play. I think you can justify the JT Thor because he's going to play the minutes, but we just know that he can put up like 0 in 30 minutes. Just warning you guys, he's not going to play 30 minutes anyway. They also it could be Leaky Black they put out there. We don't really know. So JT Thor is a very speculative play. One I don't mind if you really want to force a bunch of things in, but I'm not getting to it as much myself. Stars and scrubs isn't really, I mean, it's more possible today than usual, but your stars can't probably be a center because you're using Richards and Keita as their value. So that's what I would be doing, is using Keita and Richards as your value if you're going to do the stars and scrubs angle. You see that LeBron is projecting through the roof. I'm good with LeBron. I didn't end up getting to him. I didn't end up getting to as much Siakam yet as I'd like to, mostly because I'm waiting on this Memphis stuff. If we get that news in time, I'll know then. But I'm going to plan on Jaren Jackson Jr., Derrick Rose, who are both okay plays anyway. And then I would get into Vince Williams and David Roddy if he's out, and I would split up probably Williams and Roddy. It's okay to play together, but that's probably what I'll do, is split up Williams and even Zaire as well. You could throw him into some, but the main ones for me would be Rose and Jaren Jackson Jr. That I would want to get pieces of in that spot if we do lose Bane. And it's sounding legitimately very questionable whether he plays or not, but we will see. It is at home. He likes to play at home. So if he does play, by the way, probably an incredible tournament play. I just like Scotty Barnes and Terry Rozier a little bit better than I do Bane, but it's probably a really good idea to get some of it. So that's sort of the way that I'm building. I'm going to give a quick preview of my lineups because I can't really do this. I'll get in trouble with DraftKings. I do show it to everybody in our premium Discord. You can see my football lineups as well. But those are my early builds right now. I love Schroeder. I love trying to get some of that Portland stuff. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because again, I'm breaking the rules and I don't want DraftKings coming after me. But that's sort of a quick view of what I'm doing. And I think it's a really smart to wait for the Bane thing. And I think that stacking that game up. I also love like other guys in the mid-range nobody talked about today. Tari Eason's been going nuts. You could say it's chasey, and sure, maybe it is to some extent. One, he just put up 49 against this team. He's a tremendous rebounder, and as he's starting to get more minutes, I think that using some Tari Eason is probably a good idea at 5,200 as a potential run back if you are going to hammer that game like I'm going to. So that's what I'm doing. Let's read Scott McCarty's question. Assuming that he starts, curious to hear your thoughts on Keita's path to failure. Seems like a good PPM play. His path to failure is that he plays 8 minutes. He starts and he plays one rotation, doesn't come back in the game. There's no reason to assume that he's but what has Saberson got his median at minutes wise? 25. That sounds about right to me as maybe a median. I would go a little lower. I would say maybe 23 or 22. And you can see if we do that, if you make the minutes, it would be a lot less appealing of a play, even as you just drop it that much. So, but it's not just the path to failure; it's what you're giving up. Embiid is going to put up 65 tonight. It's just a matter of whether he puts up 85 because that game is going to probably be a blowout. But if it's not, Embiid is going to absolutely destroy Detroit. Like there's no question about it. So that's what you're giving up. You're giving up Miles Turner possibly getting 50. You're giving up Nick Richards who getting 40, and to get Keita's, likely. I think Keita ends up likely somewhere between 12 and 30, but it's really hard to figure out the exact number there. So that there's plenty of paths to failure, and mostly it's just the other strength of this position. Podol might get another 45 again tonight. You're missing out on that. All of these things are the ways that he fails, and you're missing some really good spend ups. But overall, I am going to play him, like I said, in one of my two. And Scott, you're a single entry guy a lot. I would be playing him in single entry tonight. That's for sure, assuming that he does start. If he doesn't start, I probably will have like some tournament darts of him, but that's pretty much it. So that's sort of a run through of what I'm doing on this slate. I still need the Bane news before I can do anything. And it's a huge piece of news because I've sort of built all my lineups based around that. I think I have like 95% Derrick Rose right now. So I'm just waiting. We're just waiting on that really. That's the main piece. It is really frustrating that I'm not getting to more of this game. I do have Miles Turner in one of my big buy-ins. I like this game better on FanDuel. I actually stacked it up pretty much fully on FanDuel. I'll just show you guys like what my FanDuel was. I like the Toronto stuff, and I like the Indiana. I stacked up Toronto and Atlanta over there. Sorry. I do like that, but I did get a little bit. I got Mathurin and Turner and Kuzma over there. So a little double game stack that I have going on over there with the Trae Young and then the three Torontos on the other side. But it's a very different build. You can get to a lot more of what you want. Really hard to get to that on DraftKings. So I wouldn't recommend. It's not that I wouldn't recommend the stack. I just don't know how you're going to play it because everybody's so expensive. And I'm not as crazy about Hield at this price. I'm not as crazy about Brown. One of them are probably going to get there. Ben Mathurin would probably be my favorite of those guys. I love Halliburton, but it's so easy to do whatever you want against Washington. And Halliburton's so good at giving the ball up quickly and is oddly not as high a usage as you would think he is. And they're not going to be playing in the half court anyway. So there's going to be a lot of getting the ball out quick and somebody scoring on the other end, which doesn't necessarily hurt Halliburton at all. It's just at 11-3, are there other plays to make? So I would say if you're going to play the Keita, one thing you could do, Keita and Richards at center, you could play Kuzma on one side, which I think is actually a very interesting play. He was going to smash the other night if he just got a rough second half. And maybe Halliburton on the other side if you want to. But I think that you're going to have to do the spending down. And I think that build is going to be fairly common. It's not that many people are playing Halliburton, going to be 5 to 10% owned. But if the ones that are going to have Halliburton are going to have that Keita thing. Now, I don't think that many people will have Kuzma and Halliburton together. I do think it's a really interesting way to go about it, but I just didn't get to it. I found myself more interested in the New Orleans-Charlotte game, mostly due to pricing and current roles. You see how well everybody projects for Charlotte over here. And basically every game they've been close in, Rozier has gone off. So I'm going to just plan on that again. Anyway, fire on questions and thoughts. You guys know me. I hate doing live shows. What's up to Jolly? Good to see you in here. I hate doing live shows on my own. I really like, if I could never do one, that would be it. So I'm going to give everybody 5 minutes to pop in questions and thoughts about the slate. I'm happy to answer any of them as best I can right now, as we're still waiting for some information. The whole Lakers team is questionable, by the way, which is interesting, but I'm expecting everybody except for maybe D'Angelo Russell to play as of right now. Maybe some other fringy pieces, but mostly the main guys I expect to be playing. So drop in any questions and thoughts. Please click the like button. We appreciate it. We want to keep doing these videos for free. Trying to tell you guys exactly what I'm doing. I sort of gave it away, so far as everything I've got, but I don't really have a whole lot more to talk about. And I'm not like Sheets where I'm going to go run through it. We could run a build if we want to, but you guys can run a build on your own TrueDFS/SaberSim and probably do the same thing. Thank you. Appreciate that, Dunbar. Always nice of you, man. Good to see you in here. Pop in your questions. Pop in your thoughts. What are you guys doing maybe that I'm not doing? Maybe something you guys are a little bit higher on that I'm not as high on. Let me know, because I think there are a lot of different routes you could take today. I mentioned, I think that I love Wembanyama. He was in one of my 2 big buy-ins as well. I understand that a lot of people will today. It does worry me. Like if he was going to be like a little higher owned, like 30%, I would just fade him, because I don't think there's any, like there's definitely a bust path for him every night, but there's just so many 50s and 60s you're missing out on, and probably 70s and 80s that we haven't seen yet. Trae Young, LeBron, or Scotty Barnes straight up? That's a really good question. I don't know where Scotty Barnes, so the answer straight up is probably Trae Young for me, then LeBron, then Barnes. I don't know where you'd run in on any site where they're all a similar price. They're really not close enough in price, all 3 of them. Scotty Barnes is like 20% cheaper than both those guys are on most sites, or 10% on DraftKings. Trae Young is they're just all like different prices. Dunbar's high on Halliburton and Maxey. I like that Maxey play. I think that Maxey's a very interesting way to do that, and he's playing the key to value. So I appreciate that, Dunbar. Yeah, that makes sense. Halliburton, Maxey. I think Maxey's again, it's a great matchup for both these guys. Maxey is going to be basically overlooked tonight, because I actually prefer Scotty Barnes and some of those other guys, but you're going to get such low ownership. I definitely don't mind the Maxey play at all. I'm with you there. I appreciate that. Hey, Bill, I appreciate that. It's really kind. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you guys as well. Thank you. We try to do our best and just communicate everything we've got. Giving away the free SaberSim stuff right now, and giving away Sheets' free gems all the time. How about Sheets' day yesterday? Just crushed it. Almost won the big one in every sport at one point. It looked like he had a shot. Price in FanDuel is great. 8,800. Yeah, it's not really that great. It's not that different he's 9K on DraftKings. Those are basically, they're different because it is cheaper percentage wise on FanDuel. It's just easier to get guys in. But on FanDuel, you also have, Trae Young at 9,800, who put up 60 something against these guys the other day. I believe it was 63. Yeah, 63. And also I'm going to be marking Derrick Rose in my lineups until I have a reason not to. I'm in, Brendan. Brendan, you're giving it away that you're not a premium member, because obviously you wouldn't be asking that question if you were. As of right now, and I shouldn't be doing this on air, but I will. The ownership probably is going to be somewhere between 10 and 20%. I think that it could go any which way depending on what happens with Bane. You're going to get some extra value that might even raise it, but it probably lowers it a little bit. But Dunbar, that's not the way you should be looking at things, though. It doesn't matter what his price was a week ago. What guys' prices are now versus what they were, you get yourself in a lot of trouble doing stuff like that. Personally, I think. But I still think Maxey's a good play. So regardless, it's irrelevant. He's a good play either way. I'm on board with the Maxey play. I do really have concerns about that game getting out of hand, but I don't really know what we're supposed to do. What is the spread at right now? What is RotoGrinders, which they're getting it through somebody, have the spread at? It is. Wait, why did I miss it? Oh, it's 16, basically about as high as you get in the NBA. No problem, man. But that's why I want to point it out, Dunbar, because it is a common mistake. It's something I did when I first started playing DFS. I would just notice the pricing differences, and I would start trying to go take advantage of it. But you're not really taking advantage of anything because it is baked in a little bit to what's happening, and especially on DraftKings, but some extent on FanDuel as well. All right, guys, please click the like button. I'm going to probably get out of here in just a minute. So unless there's more questions or thoughts, I'm probably going to say Jet and say, please, again, give us the like, the thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate all you guys for subscribing and being members. And by the way, if anybody's tried to chat who hasn't yet, just become a subscriber and you can chat. If you do troll us at all, we will have you blocked on all platforms. We've had a few of those people from RPS come over and do that. So F that. But otherwise, if you're just a decent human being, enough, not even that great a human being, just an okay human being, please come and subscribe. Because of the volatility on Keita, I'm not saying there's volatility on him exactly, but there's not. I think you're thinking there's some sort of upside or something that, like, it's not like I don't expect Keita to come out and play 32 minutes. Could he? Sure, it's possible. We haven't seen the situation yet this season. But to assume that he's going to is just, to me, a little bit like foolish. But I'm only doing it because he's going to be 80% owned. If he was going to be 50% owned, and even though his current projection says what, 60 to 80, yeah, no, it says 80 on SaberSim. It's probably going to end up being like close to, yeah, it's going to be so high. I don't think it's a high variance play if he starts. I just think that you're trying to get different than the norm. I don't understand that question, Scott. The volatility of Keita, would it be intent on purposely jamming in someone like Embiid, or just I don't think it matters. I don't think that's relevant at all. I think you find the build that makes the most sense. Make sure your lineup tells a story that you're good with, and roll with that. I like Embiid. I also like a lot of the mid-tier plays that I've been talking about. So I really think it just depends. I can't say specifically. My way of going about it is I would try to use the other value in the same lineup. So like with Keita, I'll play Richards in the same lineup. I know it's going to be popular build. I'm not so worried about that. I also might just switch it up to Podol just to try and get different. But then I'll get different elsewhere with other value, other extra value plays. You know what I mean? Like you could play a JT Thor, which I think is very thin, so that may be a bad example. And there's not a lot of great value, but like all the in between. I wish I could just block out the center here, but it doesn't let you do it. Tari Eason would be a guy I'd like to use in those lineups, so I can get my other spend ups in. But whether you're doing it to try and get a 12K guy and a 9K guy, or whether you're trying to do it to get 3 8K guys, it really just depends on what you like tonight. So I think it's totally. I don't think there's an answer on that. Thoughts on Brissett, Jacoby Brissett? I mean, Shea Brissett. Why did I say Jacoby Brissett? I meant Shea Brissett, but yeah, I think you could take a shot there. Like, there's a chance that Shea Brissett plays more minutes than Keita does. So yeah, Brendan, I like that thought. It's not my favorite thing in the world to do, but you do have it buys you a little extra time. Remember, we don't know if Keita's starting yet. So until we hear that Keita's starting, yeah, I mean, Shea Brissett might end up being the most popular player on the slate if he ends up starting. So I am totally okay with taking a gamble on Shea Brissett. I don't like it's not like great, but the reason that I like it a little better than JT Thor is we're still speculating on starting lineups. It does buy you an extra 30 minutes, and that's probably enough of a reason to consider it, because we just haven't seen it with all the three bigs out yet. So I'm just curious what they do. Eason or Avdia, last piece. Where did those two prices come from? Those should not be in the same price range. That's a FanDuel question, obviously. I didn't get to either of them on FanDuel. I don't know what the rest of your lineup looks like, so that's really hard to answer, because I think the right answer is definitely Avdia, assuming that they're the same price. But yeah, I think Avdia will be more popular. I didn't get to either of them. Dane on track to play. That's not what I wanted to hear, Dunbar. So I'm gonna have to go rebuild all my lineups. Thoughts on Gafford? Sure. Yeah, sure. It's totally fine. I like Podol and Richards and Keita better, and Turner and Embiid. But yeah, Gafford getting some exposure, no issue with it at all. Certainly could work out in his favor, depending on how he does keeping up in this game. But yeah, I have no issue with the Gafford. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here because I'm going to have to rebuild my lineups with Baines on track to play. Appreciate that, Brendan. Appreciate that, Dunbar. You guys are awesome. Please like before you get out of here. I'll be in the premium Discord if anybody has any questions or thoughts as we get closer to lock. And let's get it tonight, guys.